Hey, folks. So, welcome to another episode of the Leverage Your Podcast Show. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is content repurposing. And who doesn't love a good talk about AI? Because we all need help with that. Let's admit it. So, I have with me Greg Wasserman, who's actually the head of relationships at Castmagic, which is an actual software that I use with one of my clients. And we met previously. And he blew my mind of what you can actually do with it. I thought I was pretty savvy, but Greg, you taught me some things. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always fun to talk repurposing. Like that's literally what we do all day, right?
It is absolutely. So how long have you been with Cast Magic and what has your experience been like for that? I'm always kind of curious, what it's like to work with a big software company.
Yeah, honored that we're calling it a big software company, right? Bootstrap company that started New Year's Eve 2022. Three best friends got together, have a podcast. We're like, how do we do this better? Built Cast Magic is that basis for it. For me, I used to run three podcast listening platforms. So I love the podcast community. I love just where the industry is going. And so every Monday I post on my LinkedIn three podcasts I think people should listen to.
Wow.
Happened to have posted their show before they even had the idea of Castmagic. And then a couple months later, they'd built an MVP, reached out to me, and I'm like, this is exactly what I've been asking every podcaster to do. Stop treating themselves as a podcaster, treat themselves as a brand, repurpose all those little pieces of content. And so I'm like, all right, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It was a perfect match. And so I've been here technically since April 1st of 2023. Yeah.
Wow. Sweet. And even like I remember trying Cast Magic a year ago and I was like, okay, it's okay. And then like just the features and how robust it has grown so much. So just for those that don't know, can you kind of share what Cast Magic is and how you can use it as
Yeah.
a podcaster, obviously?
If we go back to that story, it's like, all right, they have their own podcast. They're paying a production company to do all the work, and they were still doing a lot of manual work in the back end. Like, this was around the time everyone, explosion of AI, and they're like, couldn't we do this ourselves? And the three engineers that they are, like, yeah. So they built a platform that takes, at the time, podcasting, that was their use case. Go, hey, how does this create the show notes, the titles, the blog, and all the assets that you would need? But we quickly saw and pivoted to all things conversations. So
Mm.
as you know, as podcasters, like that's it's usually not just your day job. It is a something, and you do meetings, you do coaching. So Castmagic quickly became the platform for all things content repurposing. And so you can take your meetings and bring the content in there. We were talking in the green room here about how I take my coaching calls and turn them into courses. So ultimately, how do I extract useful information from a podcast standpoint, your titles and show notes? But what if you combine those episodes and go like, all right, I've got five different rep episodes. We're talking about X. How do I extract and create something from that? So ultimately, that's kind of what Castmagic's allowing you to do.
Let's dive into that a little bit more because I never even considered this. So you were saying take a bunch of the episodes and kind of like mash them together and create something new. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so less about the audio and video and then cutting it together to create a highlight reel if you want, but
Yeah.
more of like, how do we extract from this episode something? So for me, I've taken episodes and highlight just what I said on an episode. Or the favorite one is podcasters love to have rapid fire questions. So what if I could aggregate the rapid fire questions across five episodes and create like a
Mm.
guide of like, um here are the websites, or here are the companies, or here's whatever, take your pick that could be said, or create a playbook. As I said, I've taken my coaching calls, combined five coaching calls, and I'm talking about things consistently on these calls. Like, this is basically a course. So what if I
Mm.
could just go ahead and say, hey, build me the framework for a course, and then I can go into another platform, we'll choose whatever it is, build up the visuals, record that master course or the master class, the course, whatever it is, bring it back into Castmagic, that recording. I'll create the worksheet, the quiz, and all the other pieces that like no one wants to do, because who wants to sit there and write out a quiz after recording? You're like, "Oh, that's just too much work." So now you can edit it as opposed to creating it.
Dang, talk about a time saver. And
But
I didn't
also it's an unlock, not only a
crazy.
time saver, but it's an unlock for more revenue, right? So if we go back to the basis of like podcasters aren't just podcasters, we're all looking. So if I look at the three questions that podcasters always asked me when I was running my previous company: how do I get more distribution? How do I grow my audience? And how do I make money? How do I
Yeah.
monetize? And most podcasters are thinking monetization of like download sponsorships. But I'm guessing those people that are listening to us right now are probably like, all right, content repurposing is other ways. It's like, well, how do I take that and turn it into a course? How do I turn that into a newsletter distribution? How do I turn it into or get more speaking engagements, whatever the case may be? Like Castmagic is going to allow you to do that.
Yeah, and it's funny. I only thought like, okay, Castmagic, you put in your episode, you get your show notes, you get your quotes and all that good stuff. I didn't actually realize that you could use it for like so many other purposes. And and to have it create like your workbook and course outlines and checklists, or I imagine even like lead magnets, it just blows my mind. That's
Like
amazing.
like we're sitting here, if anyone's just listening and not watching our facial expressions, it's like the mind wheel blowing right
Yes.
now as we're like, hold on, what
Wait
else
a
would I
minute.
want to be able to do? And like, I'm just gonna cart listing, but I can't even think of all the things. And so this is what we were talking about in the green room, right? And it's like, what else can the tool do? It's like, just start thinking about it. So we give you the full control, and that's what I love. You don't know, so we're going to give you a template. Then we're going to give you a bunch of prompts. But then I'm going to give you the control to come up with whatever prompts you want to extract. Act as if you're this, tone that, whatever it is you're trying to create. And if you're not sure, great. I got 1,600 people in our community. They'll probably have some ideas for you to help you and get you started.
I did notice today for the first time, because I was actually in there for my client this morning. I noticed that it had that community where if you can't come up with your own custom prompt, that there are like idea starters that your community has used. And I'm like, well, that makes it easier, doesn't it?
100%. Look, like let's work smarter, not harder. That's what I love. Like when the guy showed me the company and I'm like, yes, like how do I build out a newsletter? How do I build out my brand presence on social? How do I stop thinking about how do I write a LinkedIn post 5 different ways? No, just come up with a prompt. It's automated for you. And
Yeah.
now you can always repurpose and repost that content, but in a different way.
And just to extrapolate on that, my client has a very specific way on how she writes the intro for her show notes. Like it's got like a certain cadence and a certain format. So we were able to change the prompt so that we didn't have to do all that editing to like rejig it and format it the certain way. Like the second line should have this sentence in it. Like it's all customizable so that every time it generates it, it's like a couple of tiny tweaks and it's done. It's like, so let me step into this conversation then. It's to me, it's like it's all about the prompts. And I think people don't understand, and I'm still learning how to use those prompts and like what are prompts and how do you make it work for you?
Think that you hit it. Like most of us, we're all still learning. I mean, there's people that are like, oh, I'm a prompt expert. You probably are a prompt expert, but each platform is going to be different in that
Yeah, yeah.
regards. But the core's pillars stay. Act as if. So give it a persona of like what
Ooh.
it should be doing, right? So like tonality, like what do you want it to sound like? I want it to sound like me. It's like, well, what is me? There's a person in the community who has found other podcasters who've been around for years. Therefore, OpenAI has been trained on them. So you can say, act as if you were Elon Musk, act as if you were this, and going, great, we know what that's going to be. One of my favorite prompts that I go through in demos is like, act as if you're Robin Williams and write show notes in Robin Williams. So it's like
Haha.
comedic, sarcastic, and funny in that regards, right? So like as long as you have an idea of like acting what you want, and if you're not sure, guarantee you can either go do a search going like, give me personas I should act as.
Mm,
Instructional designer, a high school math teacher, like whatever it is, like there's so many different jobs, therefore
yeah,
personas. What are you trying to convey? Who are you? But what are you trying to act? Talk as if you're talking to a third grader. All right, that's going to be far different than talking to a professional CEO class. I don't know. I'm just
totally.
pulling things out, right? So I think at the end of the day, you can't go wrong. Just test it and learn.
Yeah. And keep changing. And when I do a prompt, I like copy and paste it somewhere because if it does work, I want to remember what that prompt was. So I actually have a list of prompts for my team. But I know because it's hard to come up with your head. It's like, what do you say? Oh, I want to be conversational, I want to be professional. Like it's hard to even think about what language to use to tell it to be that persona. Like it can be hard to wrap your head around.
So that's why I love one of the features we've got is content sample. Great. Let me go ahead and find a sample of
Ooh.
writing that you just go emulate, saying like my recording, because we're only using your recording. So my recording, my words, my voice, this conversation, whatever it is, but written in the style of whoever's piece of content you found, Twitter, blog, or you're like, I've already written a newsletter, Greg.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
this amazing newsletter. I just don't want to keep writing it every recording. So like every episode of your podcast, you're like, I have a newsletter. I don't want to write a new newsletter based on this recording. Give me your template of what you've already written. And now every new recording is going to match that style. So you edit less because you've already written it.
Yeah, yeah. Sweet deal. Even for me, like timestamps, the way AI comes out, it's like it got too many zeros, or it's like the formatting is weird. So I've even told it like make sure the timestamps on the left don't have this many digits. Make sure the sentence says this long. Like you can be very specific, which I'm just slowly learning on how to like narrow that window down so that you can get exactly what you want.
It's interesting. So what I've learned is, at least right now, AI we know is changing, OpenAI is changing, all the platforms are changing, right? But like it's still not good at math and counting. So if you're like, I need a 140 character, Twitter post, whatever, it's probably not going to do that. Like that's just not the way the language model is.
Mm,
It's not there to come up with the how many words is this, but what are
right.
the right words said in the right order so that it makes sense. So I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. It's like I need 5 words or less. I need 140 words. I need 60 words. I need 2,000 words. Whatever it is, it's like stop focusing on the characters count, stop
Yeah.
focusing on the word count, and let's just get the words in the order
Yes.
that you need them in the best way and use brevity, like make it short, make it brief, make it this, that it got a better understanding as opposed to I need 60
Yeah.
characters. It's like I don't know what it doesn't know what characters are.
Yeah. And I found too when I'm trying to get certain titles, but it to have the keyword phrase in it for SEO, like it kind of works, but I'm like, it's better than me trying to figure it out myself. Let's put it that way.
100%. And I think that's like for everyone that's listening, like that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid of it. It's not taking your job. I'd much rather have this create 50 assets for me than me overwhelmed. I'll never write a newsletter. Like, you know how many times everyone are like, I wish I could do this. I don't have the time, or there's not enough time in the day. It's like you can. And you have to. Everyone says, like, I should be doing this, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I got all these other things that come on the plate. It's like, well, great. Start doing that.
So it's obviously a bit of a heavy learning curve for a lot of people. People are not necessarily intuitive, especially when it comes to tech and wrapping their head around AI. Are there is there help out there if I was just like, God, someone, I want this. Can someone figure out the prompts and like make it work that way for me so that I can go in every week and just churn out the content the way I want it.
I mean, look, I'll turn it back over to you. You use the tool and you've got a client. So, like, how intuitive was it for you to figure out what it is, and what resources did you find? And then I'll add to
Yeah,
that what
fair
resources
enough.
you aren't taking advantage of that you could.
Yeah. Um, I I interview great people on my podcast. So I've gotten some great tips from different guests about AI, and that was super helpful. And I I do look at the tutorials that the software gives when I feel like I'm stuck on something. And sometimes I'm just super stubborn. I'm like, what if I do this? And I just try to like figure it out. Just trial and error, honestly.
So I'd say from our standpoint, like for me personally, um, that's what I love about community. It's like, all right, there's other people. I mean, I'll go and take some courses, or I'll just sign up for people's newsletters just so I can get prompts. Most of them
Oh.
are most of them are very specific to ChatGPT's functionality.
Mm,
And I'm like, great, like how do I take this, build it into this, and so forth? I'm like, all right, you're only going to be able to do that with a platform like ChatGPT. But with Castmagic, I'm like, oh, there's still prompts there that could be like, I've got 5 I found. Act as if you're an instructional designer. I'm not an instructional designer. Those words do not even come into my brain of like, act as if, right? Like that's just not what I've been trained on. That's not what I think. Like act as if you are a high school teacher. I got that. That's an
yeah.
easy one, right? But like, so starting to understand those people that are doing all the work for you, going like, oh, that is a not only a good prompt, but like now my brain's starting to understand act as if this, and
Yeah.
what does that do for the output? And then you start testing those things. From a Cast Magic standpoint, we've got a community, 1,600 people. There's a channel in there. It says favorite prompts. So I rely on all the smart people in there going with all their different business types, whether you're a podcaster, whether you're sales, whether you're a leader, whatever the case may be, like they're thinking of smart
Yeah.
things. I'm like, I get to now tell all people going like, hey, here are other ways. And you see the wheels turning. And
Yeah.
as we were coming in earlier, like our faces are like, I don't even know where to take this right now. So I'd say those are the key pieces. Don't be overwhelmed with AI. You'll have those that go like building their own GPTs. Great. Let people build their own GPTs. It'll become a marketplace. There'll be softwares like ours that fit in a different realm than in your own GPT, but like at the end of the day, you got to jump on the bandwagon.
Absolutely. Um, can you share with me some of your favorite prompts on what it can like spit out? Like for me, I always say, give me 7 benefits of listening to this episode and write it in how to as, so that yeah, what are our other prompt ideas for podcasters?
One of my favorite one that someone gave us early on that they used was an analogy, metaphor, and parallel. So
Mhm.
give me this recording, but in the style of an analogy, metaphor, and parable. And
What?
I'm like, that is incredible because now you can go like, describe a scenario, describe the education, describe the learnings, but in those 3 different styles. And it's a story. And you're like, I get this. Like, I can now, my brain can now wrap around
Right.
what was this story, whether it's about planting trees, because a lot of the analogies, as we can imagine in life, can go around planting and harvesting and growth and so forth. So there's that. But yeah, I would say that is one of my favorite, like,
Yeah.
hold on, let's throw a recording in there, or let me just throw in my ideas. So that's another thing is like we have a mobile app. So I'll just spit out thoughts and again turn those thoughts into whatever it is I would want. So like turn that thought into a metaphor that I would never be able to write, but now it's broken down in a way that other people can understand.
That's a very good point because you know your stuff and you have ideas in your head, but the way you get it out, someone else may not understand it. And if your messaging is not working or your content is not connecting with your audience, to be able to use AI to adjust it so that someone can relate to it, that is a game changer.
So if we go deeper into that, like let's go off on a tangent here, like content repurposing. We're
Yeah.
both fans of that, right? So once again, everyone listening, I'm hoping you're the same. But like, I do not want to create a recording and then create another recording, create another recording, create another recording, because there's so much content that came from this one piece. And if you start thinking, well, I've already posted about this, therefore I can't tell other people again. It's like, let's remember, just because one person saw your post doesn't mean if you said it a different way that they're not going to go have that light bulb moment on the second time they see it, because maybe they didn't get that light bulb moment on the first time. Like, we all been in that boat where people tell you things 1,000 times, but it takes that one person a different
Yes.
way for you to get it. So why can't your content be that? You just have to figure out different ways that other people learn. So whether it's, I learned through a metaphor this time, it's like light bulb moment, I finally understood what Lindsay was trying to say because she said it in a way that my brain now is able to comprehend it, or visually able to consume it, like whatever the case may be. That's what I love about the power of AI. It's like repurposing it, but it's repurposing it in a way that different people can understand. You have to hit them over the head a different way so they can go like, light bulb moment, I got you, I'm with you, this makes sense for me.
That is so smart. You're totally getting my wheels turning in my brain. But like how to extrapolate that content, but deliver it in a different angle or a different way. Like you said, an analogy, a metaphor, a way that someone else is going to be able to be like, ah, I get it. Like that's huge.
I mean, you think about like when you're watching or consuming a piece of content, what makes that piece of content relevant for you? So here's a good example. Like, everyone loves Humorman. I'm not a Huberman person, but there's people like him that I've resonated with. So what is it about his style versus another person's style that resonates? Same exact thing. Just
Yeah.
because the words that you're putting out there may not resonate with the person. So think about, how do I change that so it will resonate with them? Still your conversation.
Yeah.
You're just choosing a different way and different in text so they could be said. And that's where the power of like a Castmagic allows you to go ahead and go
Yeah.
like, I need to write it in a different way so that my audience understands it. You're just repurposing as opposed to creating something new.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what a time changer. What are some of the possibilities that we haven't even as podcasters thought about? You alluded to some already, creating courses. What else have you seen?
Newsletter, I mean, email continues to be king.
Mhm.
Newsletters, LinkedIn, if we think about LinkedIn's gone down that path. Um, we've got what is it? Medium. You've got Substack. Like, I know a lot of podcasters who are hosting their stuff on Substack
Yeah.
because of the discoverability function of it. Goes back to the three things that every podcaster wants: distribution, audience awareness, and monetization. So Substack allows you to do that. So having a newsletter. So being able to finally do the things as opposed to, like, this, the time to get a guest together, production, editing, distribution, all of that, it's a lot of work. So no one wants to go ahead and figure out, how do I write a newsletter? That, and most people are thinking about, how do I just continue to get downloads? Most of it is, how do I drive downloads, as opposed to how do I just drive engagement and forget the downloads, the
Mm,
listens, the views, and let's just focus on, if a person's reading your newsletter and then never watch your 40-minute YouTube video or never listen to your 40-minute podcast, you're still giving them value. They're still engaging with you as a brand. And then what are you trying to do with that as a podcaster? Why are you getting in podcasting in the first place? Is it to build brand authority? Is it to sell a product? Is it to get more speaking engagements? Like, if it's just to have conversations with people and you're like, I'm
yeah.
doing this, let's record them, then you need a better why, and there usually is, that the content repurposing is going to help you do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and with Substack, it's like you feel like you have to be everywhere to get someone's attention just to kind of like bring them down the funnel. I want to ask you one question. I've heard and I've seen people do it and it blows my mind, where they can use AI to actually better map out and gain clarity of what their avatar is. But I can't wrap my head around how exactly you do that.
Um, so we have if we go back to the way Castmagic was built, was for podcasting. We've
Yeah.
since expanded to all conversations. The joy is the way Castmagic, so anyone that's listening, visualize, we set up spaces. Each space is like a folder. Each folder has recordings in it. We then provide you with a profile for that space. And each profile would have a set of prompts that come with it, podcasting being one of those. We also have, and we just released it publicly this week, a marketing assistant one.
Oh.
So if you go ahead and have a conversation about who that avatar is, in a sense, like, what is my business? Who am I trying to talk to? And that's the conversation you load it into. It's going to give you all that breakdown of basically your avatar, your landing page, and all the marketing assets you would need. So you can go ahead and start advertising, engaging, and marketing to this person.
Well, that's cool. I saw the spaces, but I wasn't quite sure what it was for. Okay, I get it now. So, if I understand this correctly, I can just talk into Zoom, mic, whatever it may be, and ramble off everything about my avatar, my business, what I do for them, what the problems are, and just ramble. I can throw that into Castmagic and have it not only create like an avatar profile, if you will. For those that can't see me, I'm doing air quotes. um, but then you can actually have it write copy so that it's attracting that avatar for your like website and stuff like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and then you add on top of that the fact that you've got a feature called Magic Chat, which is like ChatGPT built in, and start asking it what you want. So we'll give you set of prompts
Yeah.
out of the box with that
Oh,
profile. And then you get the control of going like, all right, what else do I want to? So if we're not giving you what you need, great, go ask it like, give me language to go after this avatar. Or
ooh,
I'm calling this avatar now Sally. So refer to Sally in this market, whatever it is you're trying to do. But yeah, that's exactly it. Ramble. I ramble all the time because I don't want to have to sit here and think about the right words.
yeah.
I mean, anyone that's listening, like, that is not my style. I work with a lot of professional speakers. I do not have the style of a professional speaker at the moment, because I'm just not. I just ramble. That's how I process. So I want to be able to record my ramblings and then have a tool that could take my ramblings and turn into the amazing pieces of content that my brain are never going to be able to do
Yeah.
from a training standpoint, and B, that's just not how my brain works,
Yeah.
except what it is.
Agreed. It is painful writing a sales copy because it like has to be, there's so much psychology behind it and like the wording and the messaging, and it's hard. And so to be able to just like, like, you know, ramble, as you say, and then it kind of like extrapolates that and spits out some messaging that you can use that's really targeted. Um, I'm gonna do that next week.
There's a lot of service providers that will use Castmagic specifically for that. They're not
Ooh,
using it for a podcast. They're like, my business.
yeah.
You've got, you get it. And I'm guessing most of the people here listening, like, you have two kind of people. They're like, I don't feel comfortable being out there. I don't want to be a brand, but I want to be a brand. So I'm not going to record my conversations,
Mm,
video, audio, whatever. But like, I still want to be a thought leader. So how do I be a thought leader without having a podcast? Great. Record your question, record the answers to questions that are being asked, record top search terms that are being out there and getting answers to that. And take that, load it into a tool like Castmagic, and it's going to give you all the answers and content you need for your SEO friendly content pieces. And now you're able to push it out there. So you're pushing the content for your website and so forth without having to be audio visual heavy,
yeah,
right?
that's true. Although people need to get over that and just get on podcasts.
This I'm with you, says the
Yeah,
guy who doesn't have a podcast, but I get
that's
it.
okay. You're
Yeah,
guesting. It's all good. You got to
exactly.
be on one side of the mic at least. um, And I get clients all the time where I've got all these coaching calls and there's good stuff in it, but it's not like they can go share that because obviously their clients are in there and so forth. But there's like, I know there's good teachable moments in there, but I don't know how to get it out of there and what to do with it. And so I just kind of looking at Castmagic to be able to put that in there and get content from that you can share. Um, because why re-record something and figure it out and write a script and all that time when you've already got the good content?
I mean, 100% with you. That's what I do with my coach. Like, uh, I it's not his. I mean, it's not his complete style. Like, who his core persona is, he's not going to take our conversation and turn it into a LinkedIn post.
Yeah,
But I'm going to turn it into a LinkedIn post. And so using Castmagic, loading our coaching calls in there, and now getting content that I'm talking about with him that I can post, and it's like no need to know who my coach is, no need to know
totally.
who I'm talking to. It's just the core of the content. And I'm like,
Yeah,
we recorded it an hour. Like, why, as you said, why would I re-record this? Like, no, like it's there. I already got the content. Let's go
yeah,
post it. And now we can re-leverage it and reuse it and repurpose it. Yeah, that's what I love. Like, how do we take any conversation and find ways to extract knowledge? Like meetings, no one, no one, say this again. Everyone has this feeling of saying something smart in a meeting,
yeah,
forgetting what did I just say, saying like, hold on, what did I just say? Who wrote that down? The other person staring at them like a deer in the headlight, going like, I know I'm listening. I didn't write it down. I don't remember verbatim what you said, and we're both like trying to figure it out. Well, if you start recording those pieces, A, you have less of those deer in the headlight moments, and B, you can find ways that you can repurpose that meeting content
ooh,
besides just like, here's the agenda, here's what we talked about. Like, hold on, let's go back. Like, let's extrapolate that point that we were talking about. Now you can start diving into Magic Chat and going like, give me 5 other things, or give me 2 things, or
yeah,
whatever it is. You can start turning those meeting pieces into actual content or strategy.
yes. I like that because you have one concept, if you will, that was brought up, but you're like, how can I get more juice out of that without killing my brain cells? And if you tell it, hey, can you extrapolate on this? Can you expand on it? Can you give me 5 other ways? Um, it gets your wheels turning, that's for sure.
Yeah, once again, how do we repurpose any conversation? In this case, podcasting, how do you figure out other ways you can do that? But there's so much more conversations everyone's having that fuels your content engine, which you and I both get happy over, going like, yeah, there's a lot more content that's coming out of it that we can squeeze.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people use with AI?
Um, I mean, the given one is expecting it to be perfect, right? You're like, this isn't what I wanted, which goes to the other piece is like garbage in, garbage out.
Ooh,
Back to what we were talking about, like having a prompt, like it's not a mind reader. If you say, I love this one, write me a 600, no, write me show notes for everyone that here that's in the podcast space. Write me show notes. Guarantee you everyone that's listening right now does show notes differently. So if
yeah,
you ask it, write me show notes, what do you expect it to give you? Like, what are show notes? Even if you look at what is the definition of show notes, it's vague in the sense of like, it could be whatever you want that provides the audience with whatever information you want to give it to. So if you don't actually give it the guidance of like, I want my show notes in this style, in this format, in this language, whatever it is, like you're gonna get garbage.
yeah,
So the biggest mistake is garbage in, garbage out. So start understanding what are you trying to achieve. Um, this is why I believe AI is going to make us better communicators
interesting.
because it can't read your mind. So if you go ahead and say X and it doesn't give you that, most likely X was not what you needed and you had to be a little more detailed, a little more specific. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to give you fluff or it's not going to give you the language you need. Um, and it's still AI. Like, we've trained it on us.
Yeah,
Hence why every time it says, I hope you're doing well, because that is the phrase we all start our emails with. And now everyone's like, oh, I can't use I hope you're doing well because it's probably going to
ah, ha,
sound
ha,
like it's
ha.
written with GPT, right? So you have to find a new phrase. And I'm like, but I really do hope you are doing well.
I
Like,
know.
So yeah, those are the biggest things I see. The other piece is realizing its job is not to do your job. It is to help you free up time and space so you can be better. So I know a lot of people are like copywriters, like, I'm an amazing copywriter. I don't need a tool. It's like, yeah, but the difference between you and me, you're a copywriter, which means your editing functions are so much better than mine. So yes, you can write far better than I could. You can edit far better than I can. Which would you rather do? Spend your time writing and editing, or just editing because it was able to give you the tone and space and needs of what you had? You got 50 pieces that you could edit as opposed to writing and editing 50 pieces. That sounds smarter than being egotistical, going like, I'm the best copywriter. This can't do what I can
Yeah.
do. It's like, guys, it's only getting better. It'll get there.
Agreed. And it, like you said, it's just a matter of using the right prompts, training it to be like you, if you will, so that you can get what you want out of it. And I like your comment about making us become better communicators. Someone told me that you treat AI just like they're a VA, like they're an actual person. So when you give them instructions, it can't be like super cryptic. Like you have to be quite specific on what it is that you want, just like you would a VA. And that to me totally changed how I thought of prompts. But like you said, it's like, yes, I need to communicate better to my VAs so that what they give me is what I want. It's the same thing.
No, it's a perfect analogy, which is why it's like those that are terrible communicators that lose their cool and their temper because why didn't you understand what I or I'm gonna throw things at you and that standard, image that you can have. It's like, well, now you're trying to get a computer to do that. And you can get upset with the computer and you realize maybe the light bulb moment will be there. It's like you aren't giving it the guidance.
Yeah.
No one can read your mind. No one is you. And even you in your mind, you have to vocalize that so other people can understand what's up there.
Yeah. Well said. So true. I so appreciate your insight. I hope people really delve in to Castmagic and really just try it out and just, lean on the community and test the prompts and just really kind of expand their vision of what's possible that they can get out of it so it can save them time and money.
Same here. And you can't get rid of me. So if anyone's listening here, like I lead our training. I do the training docs. I do weekly trainings for people. We're community
Amazing.
driven. I run our Slack community, so there's community there. Um, but yeah, we're here to help because we're all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely. How can people find you, Greg, and how can people sign up for Cast Magic?
So I live on LinkedIn, and it's why we have this conversation. And then in
Yeah.
regards of like talking about LinkedIn, that's where I repurpose. So it's how I got this job. So Greg Wasserman, simple. Uh, my image is the standard one that you'll see in the show notes as well. So come find me. If you're in the podcast space, every Monday I post 3 podcasts. So I'm
Awesome.
always looking for new podcasts to explore. I try and stay away from the big ones because there's so many indies, there's so many good
Yeah.
ones out there. And someone had to start down here in order to be up there. So let's that.
Amazing.
And then signing up for Castmagic, castmagic.io. You get a free trial. So go
Mm.
ahead and I'll help you get started.
Yeah. Highly recommended. It's a fun tool to use. Yeah, I'm so glad we connected and we've had so
Likewise.
many great conversations. You've got great energy. I know you've got some trainings coming up in July and August. So once they go live, I'll be sharing those on my show notes and on LinkedIn as well. And love that you're helping people tap into the power of AI so that they can get better at their messaging and podcasting.
Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot about that we talked about that. Yeah, it's all about learning this together. So yeah, July and August and moving forward, everyone wants to know how to do something. So it's
Mhm.
not just how to use a tool, but like, how do I write a book using
Yeah.
AI? How do I make money guesting using AI? How do I do these things? So like I will be running hour-long trainings with experts and basically going like, let's teach you how to do this because everyone's asking the question of like, what can I do? I want to do more.
Yeah. Sweet. Good for you. Awesome. Thank you again
Thank you
for
again.
being on the show. I really appreciate you.
Pleasure. Thank you all, everyone.
All right, folks, that is a wrap. And we'll see you next week on the Leverage Your Podcast Show.